She said I was jealous and insecure, but the guy she told me not to worry about called her babe on speakerphone. When I first met Maya, I wasn't looking for love. I was still healing from a brutal breakup, the kind that made you second-guess everything about yourself. I was rebuilding my life. New apartment, new job, a slow return to hobbies that didn't remind me of her. Then came Maya. She was electric, not the cliché kind of sunshine in a room energy, more like a thunderstorm. Unpredictable, charged, impossible to ignore. I met her at a rooftop party thrown by a friend of a friend. I was there out of politeness. She was there out of pure curiosity, floating through conversations like she was gathering stories, sipping wine like it was a game of strategy. We spoke for 10 minutes that night, but she remembered every word I said. The next morning, I had a message on Instagram. Did you ever find that book on Soviet architecture you were rambling about? That was her. Playful, disarming, always one step ahead of my sarcasm and cautious reserve. A few weeks later, we were inseparable. The first year was incredible. I mean, actually incredible. She challenged me in all the right ways. I'm methodical, focused, naturally introverted. She lit up my quiet world with chaos and passion and surprise takeout on a Wednesday night. We traveled. We stayed up late having debates that turned into laughter that turned into kissing. I loved her. Fast. There were tiny red flags, sure. She loved attention. She flirted in what she called harmless ways. I'd watch her touch a waiter's arm while ordering or lean a little too close when chatting with a male coworker at an office party. But when I brought it up, she always rolled her eyes and said the same thing. You're overthinking it. You're just a little insecure, babe. It's cute, but you gotta trust me. I did trust her. Or at least I tried to. The first time I heard about Jason, we were out for drinks. She was scrolling her phone, giggling. Jason just sent me the most unhinged meme, she said. You'd love it. Who's Jason? I asked casually. Oh, just a guy from work. He's hilarious. Kind of like the office jester. I didn't think much of it at first. I knew she worked in marketing, a creative team, lots of group chats and brainstorm sessions. But over time, Jason came up a lot. Jason and I had the worst client meeting today. Jason said this coffee shop has the best cold brew. Jason and I were the only ones who actually finished the campaign deck. At some point, I joked, "Are you sure you're not secretly dating this Jason guy?" I smiled when I said it, trying to keep it light. She laughed. Don't be ridiculous. He's literally like my annoying little brother. That should have been enough. It should have eased whatever quiet insecurity was beginning to curl up in my stomach. But it didn't. Something about how often she mentioned him, the way she'd smile at her phone and type quickly when I walked in, it started to itch at me. One night, I came home early. She wasn't expecting me. She was sitting on the couch, her laptop open, a glass of wine in her hand. Her phone buzzed and she snatched it up so fast it startled me. I said, "Hey, everything okay?" She nodded quickly, locking her phone. "Yeah? Work stuff. Just some last-minute changes for tomorrow's meeting." I went to kiss her cheek, and she leaned away ever so slightly like she was still caught in another moment. I told myself I was imagining it. A few days later, I noticed her wearing a new bracelet. Silver with a little moon charm. She wasn't big on jewelry, usually just wore a simple ring or earrings. I commented on it. "Cute," I said. "New?" She smiled. "Yeah, a little present to myself for surviving this week." But later that night, as I was doom-scrolling on my phone, I saw a story reposted by one of her coworkers. A boomerang of a group of people outside a boutique jewelry shop. And there was Jason, clear as day, holding a shopping bag that matched the logo. It was probably coincidence, right? I wanted to believe it. I didn't bring it up. Not yet. Instead, I started noticing more things. She started working late more often. Client emergencies, she said. She started turning her phone upside down when she put it on the table. She stopped calling me babe. One night, while we were lying in bed, I asked her if everything was okay. She turned to me, her face half lit by the lamp. "Are you really asking me that again? You've been so weird lately. I'm not trying to start anything. I just feel like you're distant. I'm busy. Work is crazy. And to be honest, your energy lately hasn't helped." "What energy?" She sighed, rolling over. "This constant suspicion. It's exhausting." I stayed quiet. I didn't want to push her further away. But something inside me, something cold and sharp, settled in my chest that night. The next morning, I made coffee, left it on her bedside table, and went for a walk. I needed space to think. Was I being paranoid? Or was my gut trying to tell me something I didn't want to hear? I didn't know then that the answer would come so loudly, so clearly, and so publicly just a few weeks later. A few weeks later, my parents invited us to dinner at their house. It wasn't anything fancy, just my mom's roasted chicken and my dad's awkward attempts at dad jokes. But it was important to me. My parents had only met Maya a few times, and I wanted them to really see what I saw in her. Despite the small, sharp suspicions in the back of my head, I still loved her. I still hoped we were just going through a rough patch. That night, I even tucked the ring into my jacket pocket. Yeah, I had a ring. I had been planning for months. Nothing over the top. Just a simple proposal during dessert, surrounded by people who loved us. I imagined her laughing, blushing, saying yes, hugging my mom. I imagined everything but what actually happened. Maya looked incredible that night. She wore this forest green dress that brought out the amber flecks in her eyes. My mom complimented her immediately, and Maya beamed like nothing was wrong. She knew how to charm people. That's what made everything so difficult. I could never be sure if what she showed me was real or just another layer of the character she played so well. Dinner started off fine. We talked about work, books, the vacation my parents were planning. Maya laughed at all the right moments. She even held my hand under the table. For a second, I believed maybe I had been wrong. Maybe I really was just insecure. Then her phone buzzed. It was face up on the table, right next to her wine glass. The screen lit up and my stomach dropped. Jason, work is calling. My mom paused mid-sentence, her fork halfway to her mouth. My dad raised an eyebrow. I glanced at Maya, expecting her to hit decline immediately. But she didn't. She picked it up and answered. She didn't realize it was on speaker. Hey, babe, Jason's voice rang out, loud and clear across the table. Do you want sushi or that Thai place again? Silence. It was the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Maya's face went white. She fumbled with the phone, switching it off so fast she nearly knocked over her wine. My mom stared at her, completely frozen. My dad slowly put his fork down. I sat there blinking, waiting for someone to say something. Anything. Maya tried to laugh, but it sounded hollow. Oh my God, he was joking. That's just how we talk sometimes. It's stupid. He calls everyone that. It's not like that, I swear. No one said a word. I swear, she said again, softer now. It's not what you think. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just reached into my jacket pocket, took out the ring box and placed it in front of her, closed. She looked at it like it was a bomb. I was going to propose tonight, I said quietly. Not anymore. She looked at me with wide eyes, glassy with sudden tears. Daniel, wait. Please. I can explain. I stood up. There's nothing left to explain. I turned to my parents, who looked heartbroken in their own way, and gave them a stiff nod. Sorry. I didn't mean to ruin dinner. And then I walked out. She didn't follow me. The Uber ride home was a blur. I stared out the window, fists clenched, the ring box still sitting in my pocket like a lead weight. I didn't even know where to begin. All the late nights, all the moments that didn't quite add up. You're just paranoid, she threw at me. It all flooded back at once and I felt like a fool. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay on the couch, phone in hand, waiting. She didn't call, didn't text, not even a lame excuse. Around 3 a.m., I finally scrolled back through our messages. I looked at every time she'd dismissed my concerns, gaslit me into believing I was imagining things. And then I went to her Instagram. She had posted a story 2 hours ago, a photo of the dinner table, before everything went to hell. Caption: dinner with the fam. No mention of the call, no mention of what really happened. Just a lie wrapped in a filter. The next morning, I packed up a bag and left. I went to stay with my cousin for a while. When Maya finally texted me, it was 4 lines. I'm sorry about last night. I didn't mean to hurt you. Nothing happened with Jason, it was just emotional. Can we talk? Emotional. That word made me laugh out loud. It was always just emotional, until it wasn't. I didn't respond. She kept texting for a few days. Long, rambling messages. Half apologies, half guilt trips. Then came the gaslighting again. You always overanalyze everything. It wasn't cheating. You're just dramatic. I didn't even sleep with him. Why are you throwing away 2 years? 2 years. As if I was the one who tossed them into a trash fire. Eventually, she stopped. I guess she got tired of trying. Or maybe Jason stopped calling her babe. Either way, the silence was better than anything she had to say. But just when I thought the worst was over, I learned what she was telling our mutual friends, and it made my blood boil. I hadn't planned on telling anyone what happened. Not really. Maybe a few close friends eventually, when the ache in my chest stopped feeling like open flame. But Maya made sure I didn't get that choice. The first inkling came from my friend Jordan. We'd been friends since college, and he was one of the few people who actually liked Maya, or at least pretended to for my sake. He called me one afternoon, voice sharp with hesitation. Hey man, are you okay? Define okay, he sighed. I ran into Maya at Sadie's party last night. She said you two broke up. I leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Yeah, we did. There was a pause. She said you got super controlling. That you were, quote, emotionally unstable and spied on her constantly. Said you freaked out over a phone call and humiliated her in front of your parents. I closed my eyes. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. I figured that wasn't the whole story, Jordan added quickly. But she's telling a lot of people, bro. And she was. Over the next week, the rumors trickled in like poison through my veins. I was possessive. I monitored her every move. I accused her of cheating daily without proof. I threw a tantrum at dinner like a child. She was painting herself as the victim in a relationship that, according to her, had been toxic from the start. Never mind the sleepless nights I spent wondering if I was just imagining things. Never mind the proposal ring still sitting in my drawer like a cruel joke. She erased all of it with a few lies and a sweet smile at a party. I considered posting a screenshot of the call log, or the messages, or even just the truth. But I didn't. I told myself it was because I didn't want to stoop to her level. But deep down, I think it was because I still couldn't believe she would turn on me like that. Then came the final straw. One of our mutual friends, Lacey, texted me out of the blue. Hey, I don't know if you want to hear this, but Maya and Jason are together now. My stomach dropped. Like, together how? Like publicly. She brought him to Sunday brunch, introduced him as her boyfriend. I felt the floor go out beneath me. Not because I was surprised, I think I'd always known, but because of the timing. It hadn't even been a full month. She must have moved on the second I walked out the door. Or maybe she never had to move at all. That night, I opened her Instagram again. There it was, a photo of her and Jason at the beach. He was holding her waist. She was smiling at the camera, face tilted up toward his. The caption read, "Right where I'm supposed to be." And in the comments, all our mutual friends gushing, "You two are so cute. Finally, you deserve this. Happiest I've ever seen you." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was insane. The same people who saw me by her side for 2 years now acted like I'd never existed, as if her glow-up required erasing me. I didn't sleep that night either. But this time, the sadness was gone, replaced with something cold and sharp, clarity. She had never cared. Not really. She just liked the idea of being adored. And I had adored her completely. I had become her safe haven, her sounding board, her unpaid therapist. I was stability. Jason was fun. And the second she got bored of being loved quietly, she ran toward chaos. A week later, I ran into her. It was unplanned. I was grabbing coffee near my old apartment when I heard her voice behind me. I turned and there she was, standing beside Jason. He was wearing sunglasses indoors. She had her hand tucked in the crook of his arm like a magazine ad. She froze when she saw me. I could see the flicker of panic behind her eyes, the way her fingers tightened just slightly on Jason's arm. "Daniel," she said too brightly. "Hi." "Hey," I kept my tone flat. Jason offered a nod, clearly unsure of what to do. I returned it. The three of us stood there in awkward silence like players in a bad stage play. Maya finally spoke. "It's been a while." "You look good, thanks." There was another beat of silence. Then Jason cleared his throat. "Well, we should—" "Yeah," I said, stepping aside. "Enjoy your coffee." And I walked out. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Because in that moment, watching her try to smile through the tension, I saw something I hadn't expected. Guilt. Not enough to change anything. Not enough to fix what she broke. But enough to finally, fully, let me go. And I did. But the story doesn't end there. Because karma, as it turns out, wasn't quite done with Maya yet. About 2 months after that awkward coffee shop encounter, I got a message from Lacey again. "You're not going to believe this." I almost didn't answer. I was finally starting to feel normal again. Working out, focusing on projects at work, even casually dating. I didn't need another update about Maya. But curiosity won. "Try me." She sent a screenshot. It was Maya's Instagram. Not a public post. This time, a story. A black screen with white text. "Some people will drain you, use you, and then leave like nothing happened. Lesson learned." No tags. No mentions. Just drama. I rolled my eyes. "Let me guess. Trouble in paradise?" Lacey responded with a popcorn emoji and then called me. "She and Jason are done," she said immediately. "Big ugly fight." She deleted all their photos, unfollowed him, and apparently he went back to his ex. I blinked. "Wait, what?" "Oh yeah. Word is he was texting his ex the entire time. They've been on again, off again for years." Maya found out when the ex posted a photo of Jason at her apartment. Same night he told Maya he was working late. I almost laughed. I shouldn't have felt anything. I really shouldn't have. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel just a little validating. "So that's what it feels like, huh?" I thought about texting her. Something petty. Something like, "Oh no, turns out you were the one who should have worried," but I didn't. What would that accomplish? It wouldn't give me back the nights I'd spent questioning my own sanity. It wouldn't make her suddenly honest. It would only pull me backward. And I'd worked too hard to move forward. Still, I did what anyone would do in 2025. I checked her socials. Gone were the beach selfies with Jason. Gone was the fake happiness. Her page now had a curated sadness. Quotes about self-love, moody selfies, captions like, "Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who smile through the pain." I stared at one post for a long time. It was a photo of her sitting on a windowsill, looking out at the rain. The caption read, "People will accuse you of things they're guilty of doing themselves." I almost choked. She was still spinning the narrative. Still the victim. I closed the app. A week later, she texted me. I stared at her name on my screen for a long time. I hadn't seen it in months. Not since I stopped responding. My heart didn't race. My stomach didn't twist. I just felt tired. Her message was long. A wall of text. Apologies. Regret. The usual. You were right. About everything. I didn't want to admit it because that would mean facing how badly I treated you. Jason wasn't who I thought he was. I wish I had appreciated what I had when I had it. You were good to me. I just wasn't ready for someone like you. I stared at that last line. Not ready for someone like me. At one point, that sentence would have shattered me. I would have taken it as some profound truth. Proof that I'd been too much, too soon. But now, it just sounded like another way to say, I didn't know what I wanted, so I ruined what I had. She ended the message with, "I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know that you weren't crazy. You weren't jealous. You were just hurt." And I caused that. That part stayed with me. Because even though it didn't erase anything, it confirmed what I'd been screaming into the void of my own thoughts for months. I wasn't wrong. I didn't reply. Not because I was bitter, but because I had nothing left to say. The closure I wanted didn't come from her words. It came from watching her unravel her own illusion. It came from knowing that I didn't lose her. She lost me. And she knew it. A few days after that message, I ran into her again. This time alone. It was at a bookstore we both used to love. She was standing in the non-fiction section, flipping through something she clearly wasn't reading. She saw me before I saw her. When I looked up, she was already walking over. Her face was bare. No makeup. No filters. She looked smaller somehow, like a version of herself I'd never seen. "Hey," she said quietly. "Hey," she hesitated. "Did you get my message?" "I did." Another long pause. "I meant it, I know." She gave a sad little smile. "You look good." "Thanks. I'm trying to be better, for what it's worth." I nodded. "I hope you are," and I meant it. Not for her, but because people like Maya will keep hurting others unless they learn to stop lying to themselves. Maybe Jason was her wake-up call. Maybe not. But either way, I was no longer part of that story. We stood there in silence, in the middle of the aisle, surrounded by books we both used to love. And then she whispered something I'll never forget. "You always knew, didn't you?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "Yeah, I did." She nodded, like that answer settled something inside her. And then she walked away. No tears, no hugs, no dramatic goodbye. Just two people who finally saw each other clearly and realized they were never looking at the same thing. And that should have been the end. But it wasn't. Because 2 weeks later, I got a message from someone I never expected. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I was between meetings, casually eating lunch at my desk, when I saw the notification pop up on my phone. A name I hadn't seen before, Emily Carson. At first, I almost ignored it, assuming it was spam or someone trying to sell me crypto. But something made me open it. "Hi, I know this is random, but are you Daniel? I think we need to talk. It's about Maya." And Jason. My heart stalled. I didn't recognize the name, but the context was too specific to ignore. "I am." "Who are you?" She replied almost instantly. "I'm Jason's ex. Or I was. It's complicated. I'm not trying to stir drama, I promise. But I think you deserve to know a few things." I stared at the screen, not sure whether to feel dread or curiosity, or both. "Go ahead," I said. She messaged me a long wall of text. Apparently, Emily had been with Jason on and off for years. Their breakup had always been messy, full of dramatic exits and inevitable reunions. She said she found out about Maya when someone sent her a screenshot of them together at a beach bar. Jason's arm around her waist, Maya's signature smile bright and oblivious. Emily never said anything at the time. She figured it was just another fling and he'd come crawling back eventually. But then one day, she opened her closet and found a tiny velvet box, tucked in the pocket of Jason's coat, an engagement ring. I assumed it was for me, she wrote. We were in a better place. I thought he was planning something, but it wasn't for her. She found the receipt in the bag, dated during the exact same week he was in Tulum with Maya. Turns out he was hedging his bets, keeping both of us around, stringing Maya along with just enough affection while secretly planning to propose to me. My jaw actually dropped. Jason had apparently ghosted Maya the moment Emily posted a story with him at her apartment. She didn't tag him, but Maya knew that couch, knew that living room. She'd been there before. Emily said that within 24 hours, Maya had blocked him on everything, but not before sending a single message. You told me she was crazy. Looks like I'm the one who believed the wrong person. It was brutal. But what shocked me even more was what Emily said next. I read the messages between you and Maya. I found them on Jason's iPad. I know it's invasive, but I had to know what was going on. And I just want to say, you were kind. You were patient. She made a mistake. I didn't know how to feel. This stranger, someone I'd never met, was sitting on the other side of the screen, validating 2 years of my life Maya had tried to rewrite. Thanks for telling me, I replied. That honestly means more than you know. Emily responded once more. I don't know you, but I'm sorry she hurt you. And I'm sorry he did too. I hope you're doing better now. Truly. I stared at that message for a long time. There was nothing else to say. No revenge to plan. No anger to feed. Just the strange, quiet understanding that some people enter your life only to burn through it. And sometimes the only peace you get is knowing you're no longer in the fire. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about Maya. About the way she twisted everything. About how I almost proposed to someone who was falling for another man. Someone who smiled at me during dinners and texted Jason under the table. Someone who told me I was insecure while calling another man babe. The irony wasn't lost on me. And as if fate hadn't made its point loud enough, that weekend I ran into Maya's older sister, Claire. It was at a friend's engagement party. I was surprised to see her there. Claire was always more reserved, more guarded. We'd only met a few times, but she always seemed like the voice of reason in Maya's chaotic orbit. She spotted me by the bar and walked over, wine in hand. Daniel, she said with a small smile. Didn't expect to see you here. Same, I replied, raising my glass. She leaned in slightly. You look lighter, I chuckled. That's one way to put it. We made some small talk. Nothing heavy. Just updates on mutual friends and work stuff. But as the conversation trailed off, she looked at me and said something I'll never forget. Maya never deserved you. I blinked. Wow, that's blunt. Claire shrugged. It's not bitterness. It's truth. I love my sister, but she's always chased the wrong kind of attention. You were too real, too consistent. And she doesn't know what to do with that. I didn't know what to say. She tapped her glass against mine. Don't let her ruin the idea of love for you. Some of us out here still believe in the real thing. I smiled. For the first time in a long time, it felt genuine. After the party, I walked home alone under a cold, quiet sky. The city buzzed in the distance, but in my chest, there was finally stillness. No more second guessing. No more wishing I'd done something differently. I had loved her the best way I knew how, and she had gambled it away for someone who never intended to stay. But the final twist? That came in a voicemail I didn't expect. It came on a Monday morning. I was rushing out the door, half late for work, coffee in one hand, bag in the other, when my phone buzzed with a notification. One new voicemail. No missed call. Just a voicemail. From a blocked number. I almost ignored it, assuming it was spam or some scammer. But something made me stop in the elevator and press play. It was Maya. Her voice was soft, almost unrecognizable, strained and tired, like she hadn't slept in days. Hey, she began, her voice cracking on the single word. I didn't know if I should call. You probably don't want to hear from me. And I get that. I really do. I froze. I know I already said I'm sorry. In messages, in person. But I didn't say the things I should have said. Not really. So I guess this is me trying. There was a pause. A long breath. I think about that night a lot. At your parents'. The look on your face when you heard Jason say, "Babe, how quiet you were." I've never seen someone go so still and say so much with nothing at all. And I hated myself in that moment. Not because I got caught, but because I saw what I'd done to you. Another pause. A shaky exhale. You were the first person who made me feel safe. Like really safe. You didn't try to fix me or change me or compete with me. You just loved me, even when I didn't make it easy. And I guess I didn't know how to handle that. So I ran toward something that felt familiar, something chaotic. She sniffled quietly. Jason wasn't what I thought he was, but that's not an excuse. I hurt you long before he called me babe on speaker. I hurt you every time I lied. Every time I gaslit you. Every time I made you question your own sanity. And I'm sorry. Truly. Another silence. Then, I keep going over all the times you tried. All the small things. The coffee on my desk before I woke up. The way you paused your shows until I got home. The way you looked at me when you thought I wasn't paying attention. My throat tightened. And I guess I just want to say thank you. For loving me the way you did. For trying so hard. For giving me the kind of love I wasn't ready for. I don't expect anything. I don't even want to reply. I wanted you to know that you weren't crazy. You were never insecure. You were right. About everything. The message ended. I stood in the elevator long after the doors opened. People passing by, giving me curious glances. I didn't even realize I was still holding my phone in my hand. The screen dark. The message echoing in my ears. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just felt still. She had said it all. Everything I'd needed to hear for closure. Everything she should have said the night I walked out of her life. But here's the truth. I didn't need it anymore. That voicemail wasn't for me. It was for her. She needed to say it to clear her own conscience. To let herself believe she was capable of growth. And maybe she was. I hoped for her sake she really was. But I had already moved on. It wasn't dramatic. There was no new love story ready to bloom. Just peace. Just me. For the first time in years, I wasn't stuck analyzing someone else's words or actions, trying to decode whether I was being played or protected. I was free. A few weeks later, I saw her again. This time, from a distance. She was walking through the park, headphones in, alone. She looked different. Still beautiful, but quieter somehow. No curated outfit. No big performance. Just a girl walking through a park, trying to figure herself out. She didn't see me, and I didn't call out. I just watched her go. A flicker of memory trailing behind her like perfume. And that was it. Not a fairy tale ending. Not a bitter one either. Just real. People always talk about heartbreak like it's the end of something. But sometimes, it's the beginning. The beginning of listening to yourself. Of trusting your gut. Of never letting someone make you feel guilty for having intuition. Because the truth is, when someone calls you jealous and insecure for asking questions, it's often because they're hiding the one answer that would hurt you most. And when that answer finally says, "Hey babe," on speakerphone, in front of your parents, there's no denying it anymore. You were right all along. And no matter how much it hurt, being right set me free. Being right set me free.